Hello and welcome back to another video of Writing Task 1. Today we're about to discuss Module 4 of Report Writing. As usual, let me introduce you to the topics we're going to discuss today. First one, why we should plan. Second, how to plan. Third, simple 4-paragraph structure. And then, identifying key features. After that, we'll discuss examples and finally, we'll look at key lessons. In the last module, we studied how to understand and analyze graphs, charts and tables. Let's begin this module. First one, why plan? We all know that we only have 20 minutes for writing task 1. If you do planning, it will help you save your time. That is why the first reason for why you should plan is it saves your time. Second reason is if you know what to write, writing will be quick. If you plan, you will know what to write. When you know what to write, you can write faster. The third reason is task 1 is a thinking task and a writing task. In report writing, you're not writing any law or theorem you have memorized before. Here, you have to think and make points first. After that, you have to write them. That is why planning is important here. Going on to the next point, you will make fewer mistakes. Just like in life, in report writing too, if you make a plan, you will only make few mistakes. That is, planning make you commit less mistakes. Finally, you won't get stuck. If you plan and find out what to write, then you don't have to stop midway. You can just write. No stopping and thinking what to write next. So, these are the 5 reasons why you should plan. Moving on to the next slide. 4 stages of planning. First one is understand the graph. Second, identify key features. Third, identify any comparisons. And 4, add information to a structure. I'll repeat again. First stage is understand the graph. Then you have to identify key features and then find any comparisons. And finally, you have to add this information to a structure. So, the first stage is understand the graph. Here, you have to check the following things. First one, what type of graph it is. Is it a bar graph? Is it a line graph? Like that. Identify the type of graph given. After that, look at the title. What does the title say? Then check the x-axis and y-axis. What does it say on the x and y-axis? What things are plotted on each? Then check what is measurements. Is it a number? Is it a percentage? Or is it years? The next thing you have to do is find out what are the items and is there a key. Look for the key and find out what are the items given on the graph. Then count how many items are there. After that, check whether it is an overtime graph or not. If you see a continuous time period, then it is an overtime graph. If you don't see a continuous time period, then it is not an overtime graph. After that, find out what tenses will you have to use. Looking at the years will help you choose the tense. Picking the correct tense and writing in that is really important, guys. So make sure you choose the correct tense. Finally, understand what is the purpose. For overtime graph, the purpose is showing trend over time. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Like that. For graphs which are not overtime, their purpose is compare and contrast. Then you have to write about the bigger one, the smaller one, similar types, etc. That's all. Hope you understood how to understand the graph. Before teaching you how to understand key features and comparisons, I would like to show you the structure of task 1 questions. The question always states the same thing. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Therefore, we can use the same structure for every question. As the question always says the same thing, we also use the same structure for every question. And that is a simple 4-paragraph structure. You have to write the introduction first, then overview. After that, detail paragraph 1 and detail paragraph 2. Paragraph 1 is introduction. Writing introduction is so easy. You just have to paraphrase the question and nothing else. Paragraph 2 is overview. In the overview, you have to pick 2 or 4 key features and report them generally. No data. Remember guys, no data should be included in the overview. Just write key features generally. Now, let's start the most important topic of this module, identifying key features. The biggest mistake students make is overcomplicating these. They are often the most obvious things. The examiner knows that you have never seen a graph before and that you're not expert in this field. So, the first thing you have to keep in mind is that this is not an intelligence test. It is a language proficiency test. The examiner knows that you're not an expert in graphs, so they won't make it hard on you. Finding key features is easy. They're the first thing you will notice while examining the graph. So please don't overcomplicate the things for yourself. Going on. The biggest mistake teachers make is simply telling students to look out for things like biggest, smallest, big changes, big differences, trends, comparisons. Problem with this is that it does not allow any flexibility and treats all graphs the same. Some teachers will tell you that when you get a graph, always look for the biggest, smallest, big changes, big differences, trends, and comparisons. But we recommend you not to do this because every graph is different and need to be treated differently. In some graphs, key feature will be a trend, while in some others, it will be comparisons, biggest and smallest. Also, some graphs won't be having any comparisons and some others won't be having any trends. So it is necessary that you treat every graph differently and not just search for these things in all graphs. Now, let's look at some examples. Please zoom in for more clarity. This is a line graph. In the x-axis, years are given and in y, numbers. Here we can see a continuous time period. Hence, this is an overtime graph. Key is given at the bottom. Burglary in yellow, car theft in red color, robbery in green. As it is an overtime graph, the purpose of this graph is showing trend over time. When you join the beginning and end, you will find out that burglary decreased over time, car theft increased over time, and robbery just fluctuated. These are the key features of this graph. Now let's look at another example. Please pause the video and analyze the graph by yourself. As you can see, there are two bar graphs given. One with the title Computer Ownership 2002 to 2010 and other with the title Computer Ownership by Education Level 2002 and 2010. In the first graph, years are given on x-axis and percentage on y. From the years given, we can conclude that it is an overtime graph and by joining the starting and ending points, we can find that the trend is increasing. In the next graph, level of education is plotted on x-axis and percentage on y-axis. There is a key given which tells us that the 2002 is represented as black color and 2010 by white color. Let's join the points. We can see that for both years, computer ownership increased as level of education increased. So, here are the two general trends for this graph. A significant rise in the percentage of population that owned a computer. This key feature is selected from the graph 1. And the next one is the higher the level of education, the more likely they are to own a computer. This key feature is selected from the graph 2. Going on to the next graph, this one here is a line graph with title Radio and Television Audience in UK October to December 1992. On x-axis, time of day or night is plotted and on y-axis, percentage of UK population over 4 years old is represented. Key is given at the top. By analyzing the graph, we can see that there is no continuous time period, hence we can conclude that this graph is a compare and contrast one. Here, we will be looking for highest, lowest and comparison. When you look carefully, you can find that listening to radio is highest during morning time and watching TV is highest during the evening time. Also, we can find that TV has more audience than radio. So, the key features of this graph is watching TV highest in the evening, listening to radio highest in morning, overall more people watch TV. Moving on. Please pause the video and try to analyze it on your own. Okay, so the graph given is a bar graph. Let's look at the title first. The chart below shows the number of men and women in further education in Britain in 3 periods and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. This is the title. On x-axis, there are years given, and on y-axis, number of men and women in further education is plotted in thousands. Key is given on the bottom. By examining the graph, as there is a time period given, we can be rest assured that this one here is an overtime graph. Here, what we have to do is find the general trend. Let's join the points. For full-time education, number of men and women increased over time. Talking about part-time education, for women it increased, but for men there is a minor drop. So the 3 general trends for this graph is: overall, the number of men and women in full-time education increased. Women in part-time education increased significantly. Men in part-time education fluctuated. Next graph we are going to check out is a pie diagram. Please take some time and examine it carefully. Here we can see 2 countries, Yemen and Italy. And also there is 2 years given, 2000 and 2050. For the countries, we will be finding a comparison between them. And for the years, we will be considering the trend. Now let's look what the key features of this graph is. It is clear that Yemen had the younger population in the year 2000 and the same is predicted for the year 2050. The population of both countries are predicted to get older over the 50 years period. Let me explain this to you. In this graph, for the year 2000, we can see that the population of young people in Yemen is 50.1, but for Italy, the population of young people is only 14.3%. So we can conclude that Yemen have more young people than Italy. And for 2050, it is predicted that just like 2000, Yemen will be having more young people than Italy. So for 2050, it is predicted that Yemen will be having 37% of young people, and Italy there will be only 11.5% young people. When you compare the years, you can see that in 2050, number of old people is predicted to increase for both countries. For Yemen, the percentage of old people were 3.6 and is predicted to increase and become 5.7. For Italy, it was 24.1 and is expected to grow into 42.3. Now, let's look at a table question. Please pause and examine. The title of the table is Sales of Fair Trade Labeled Coffee and Bananas 1999 and 2004. There are 2 tables here, one for coffee and one for banana. In rows, 5 countries are given. In columns, 2 years are given. Analyzing each of them, we can find that there are 2 general trends. First one is coffee increased in all 5 countries from 1999 to 2004. Second, sales of bananas only went up in 3 out of the 5 countries. Let's check again. In the case of coffee, as we can see, all increased. But for banana, trade increased in first 3 countries and decreased in the last 2. Moving on to the last graph of today, here 2 types of graphs are given. One is a pie diagram and the other is a table. The title of the first graph is Causes of Worldwide Land Degradation and the title of the second one is Causes of Land Degradation by Region. The key features of this graph is there are 3 main reasons why farmland become degraded and overgrazing is the main one. The table shows that Europe had a far higher proportion of unproductive land than Oceania or North America in the 1990s. For multiple graphs like these, we have to pick one key feature from the first graph and the other from the second. When you examine the first graph, which is a pie diagram, we can find that deforestation occupied 30%, overcultivation 28% and overgrazing 35%. That is why we said that out of all 3 main reasons which cause land degradation, overgrazing is the top one. After that, when we check the second graph, which is a table, we can find that North America, total land degraded is 5% and Europe it is 23% and for Oceania it is 13%. That's why we said Europe has more land degraded than the other two. That's all about identifying key features. Now let's look at the key lessons. The first key lesson is don't get into detail. Second one is look for the most obvious thing. Key features are easy to find and they are the most obvious thing. So you don't have to get in detail. Just pick the most obvious thing you notice first. If more than 4 elements, then it is probably wrong. If you find more than 4 key features, then one among them is wrong because most of the graphs contain 4 main key features, not more than 4. Then look at the big picture. Don't go for minute things. Look at the big picture. Don't overcomplicate it. If it seems easy or obvious, then you have the right answer. Then look for general trends if over time. If you are given a continuous time period, then it is an overtime graph. Then look for general trends, increase, decrease or fluctuated. Think about the purpose. Always think what will be the purpose of this graph. Is it saying the trend or is it compare and contrast? That's all about key lessons. Moving on. In this module, we studied why we should plan, how to plan, simple 4-paragraph structure, how to identify key features, examples and key lessons. I hope you understood. If you don't, please rewind and watch again. So, in the next module, we're going to study how to write an effective introduction and overview. Till then, take care. Bye.